Hey guys, it is NCS Fan 001 here for another Tuesday Trophy Talk. Today's date is Tuesday, the 15th already of July of 2025. So this will have actually covered a 2-week period this time of July the 1st through the 14th of 2025. So, first things first to mention, as you probably see in the title here, Monday was the 15th anniversary of the YouTube channel, which is pretty freaking awesome. I had a lot of fun with streams this weekend. I know I didn't stream anything on Sunday because I was busy on some other stuff and doing a little bit of editing and such. But the rest of the streams this past week were pretty fun, mostly playing like Death Stranding, I think was all of them. So yeah, it was a pretty good series of streams this past week. It's fun to celebrate 15 years. And there will definitely be streams this week. And then next week's going to be a little bit more interesting. I'll talk about that here in a second. But we're now on PSN profiles. And I would just like to point out... Why? 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 That's all I can say about this one is why? How many versions of The Last of Us are you going to do with how many DLCs and how many times are you going to remaster it when we get the PS6? Look, I get it that it's a massive franchise for Naughty Dog and for PlayStation, but come on, it's getting a little bit absurd, don't you think? Oh, Twisted Metal 3's trophy list is up. I don't really know too much about this franchise. I don't know how hard this one's going to be in comparison to the other ones. Never really played too much of those. I never got around to playing the original 2 when they released on here. So anyways, this past week I obtained trophies in a grand total of 3 different games. Our first game was Astrobot. I got through the newest DLC, which is Vicious Void Round 2. So this DLC is another series of speedrun levels. However, much like the ones from the previous Vicious Void, you don't actually have to get through in a certain amount of time. You just have to actually clear the level in any amount of time and you'll get the bot. So it's not really anything too difficult to worry about. Because with Stellar Speedway, I think you actually had to get through in a certain amount of time to unlock all the bots because there were like 2 per level. Whereas with this one, just like the other Vicious Void, it was just, complete each level once and you're good to go. So with the 4 of these levels, none of the first 4 levels are particularly hard if you have some platforming skill. I'm not particularly good with platformers, of course. But honestly, I didn't struggle too much with those first 4 levels, maybe like 20 total minutes to get through them, and that was also like trying to relearn the game and everything, so did struggle just a little bit at times, mostly just from my own mistakes, so none of those were too bad. So the Twin Frog basically gives you the frog gloves as your main power-up. This one is the one where you get like the elephant power-up that you can suck it up to create various platforms. This one is the monkey level where you climb up like bananas and stuff like that using the monkey suit. And then High Inflation is the one where you have the inflatable suit, pretty much. So it basically just uses up the various different power-ups. Because, like, with this DLC, you had the timer power-up primarily, the thrusting power-up, the chicken power-up. I don't really remember that. Actually, I do remember that one. I just don't remember exactly what it did. This one, I don't remember what that one was. And this was the one where you could, like, roll up into the ball form. So the first 4 levels really aren't anything too much to worry about. Like I said, it took me maybe like 25-ish minutes of actually playing to get through them. But then we come to the final one, which is the Mega Mix Mastery. This level is by far the hardest one in this DLC, and it's the hardest DLC level I would say that we've gotten so far. I wouldn't say it's as hard as like the Grandmaster type Galaxy from the end of the main game, or even like the Grandmaster Galaxy or Final Trial, whatever the heck it was called in actual Super Mario Galaxy 2. So, I still got through it, and it looks like a grand total of about 33 minutes, which isn't too bad, because some people were saying they were taking like several hours to get through it. So I still got through it in a reasonable amount of time, but it's definitely the hardest DLC level we've gotten, and it's definitely up there in the top 5, maybe even the top 3 overall most difficult levels in the game, but it's definitely not number 1. Basically, it's a very long gauntlet type level where you have to use a bunch of different power-ups. Like, you start out with the dog rocket power-up, and like at one point you have the rocket ship power-up. I'm trying to think of exactly what they're all called. Stuff like that. And then another time you have the Cymbal Monkey power-up that makes you, when you clap at it, changes the platforms around. Stuff like that. So basically it's just a massive gauntlet using all the different power-ups. So it's, again, just like the final galaxy in Super Mario Galaxy 2 for those who ever played it. Because this game, once again, does feel a lot like almost a sequel to Super Mario Galaxy 2 with just the way everything plays and all. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great game overall, but there are a handful of very frustrating levels in this game. Namely, that one was a bit problematic, and then there was the final level in the base game, and then there was like one or two other really bad levels in the main game that were kind of annoying. But the Platinum Trophy is pretty easy. There's a reason why it has 69. That's nice. 69% completion. So basically, all these early trophies were, like, everything through here was just unmissable and story-related. You had to rescue all the bots throughout the game, of which there were, like, close to 300 initially. This is the final one. This is that final level that's actually pretty challenging. You have to find all the puzzle pieces, which is just another type of collectible. You have to get the stuff from the Gotcha Lab, open up all the different doors in the hub area, and then just a bunch of other miscellaneous trophies, usually that are level specific, but some are specific to the crash site itself. A couple of them are a bit situational, but none of them are particularly difficult, so don't worry too much about really any of the base game stuff, aside from a handful of the most difficult levels. The first DLC was all speedrun levels, and you just have to get a certain time in all of them. I didn't have too much trouble with any of these, as you can see here. I got through all of them within about a 15 to 20 minute period, so it didn't take me too long at all. And then Winter Wonder is an actual real level, which I wouldn't mind us getting an actual real level again. Maybe whenever they announce like Astrobot 2 or something, get us a level to get us hyped and prepared for that. Because at this point, I think there's a total of 95 galaxies in the game at this point, so I don't know if they would want to do like one more full speedrun DLC in order to get it up to an even 100, or if they might just go with like one more bonus level like this Christmas one whenever they announce the next Astro game, whenever that ends up being, because I'm sure that they're already working on it by now. So yeah, that was that DLC. It didn't take me too long to get through, like I said. It had a few challenging parts to it, but nothing insanely hard compared to some of the base game stuff. So, over the last couple weeks, a big game that I have been working on is Death Stranding, the original Death Stranding. And I think I did talk about this in the previous trophy update. I guess I must have. But yeah, Death Stranding. This one kind of came out of nowhere, and I decided to start playing it because Death Stranding 2 looks great. Lizard Guy has confirmed that it's great, so it's something that I'm definitely going to play at some point. Apparently, it improves in like basically every way over the original. I mean, there's a reason it's getting all the critical acclaim and such. But honestly, I mean, I'm actually really mostly liking Death Stranding 1. There's a little bit of problem with the combat. Like, the combat isn't as, I guess, fluid or as well put together as it apparently is in the second one. But that's apparently all worked out in the second one. And then it's just kind of annoying when you clear out a big BT somewhere and then literally 2 minutes later he respawns there. And that makes certain areas a little bit more difficult to cross, a little bit more annoying. But, I mean, it's not really that big a deal. I guess it's to be expected in a post-apocalyptic world. Just probably got to space that out a little bit more. So currently I've completed 7 episodes of the game. So we're up in the middle of the mountains at this point, reconnecting a few settlements to the Mountain Knot City. And then it looks like, so I think we're on episode 8 right now. So that's maybe a slightly longer one. Then episode 9 looks to be pretty short by percentage. Episode 10 looks to be fairly short. Episode 11 looks to be fairly short. 12 looks to be fairly short. And 13 looks to be fairly short. And 14 looks to be just a little bit longer. So I think we're over halfway through the story by now. Like a good chunk over halfway. Because I know we've done like over 50 of the standard orders so far. So we're definitely making progress through all of that. And then you have to complete 36 standard orders, which is very easy. This should come naturally while you're playing through the game and going for some of the more challenging, time-consuming trophies. Then you have these 2 trophies, which it's recommended not to bother with these until you finish the main story and have built up a lot of the world. Because in order to deliver those, you have to like deliver them quickly and intact and everything. And that's significantly easier to do if you have a lot of infrastructure built up. So build up all the highways, build a few zip lines in perfect places, stuff like that. But especially the highways and definitely some zip lines as well. I don't think these are going to be particularly hard. They're just going to be quite grindy because you have to do 20 of each category, and I think there's 4 different categories. So yeah, that's gonna at least take a while. But we can work on that while we're working on one of the later trophies. So all of these trophies, let's see, first supply request already, oh, no, I didn't do that before. So that one you just have to call out for supplies like through the menu or something. That one's pretty easy. Standard order with a delivery bot, you can start getting delivery bots around maybe 3 or 4 episodes in, and you can make them do your deliveries for you. They usually don't do very well at it, but as long as they make it, you get that trophy. Haven't built all the structures yet, and of course there's no tracker in this, so this one's going to take a little while for me to unlock, I'm sure. Then connect all the facilities to the UCA. So I found a lot of them so far, but I know there's definitely quite a few more, and there might be 1 or 2 that I missed in the initial area. So we will have to see about that. Then you have to connect all of the facilities and get to the maximum connection level with all of them, which is a rather time-consuming process because there's like 40-ish settlements or something like that. It might even be more than that, actually. And you have to get them all to 5 stars, which takes quite a while and a lot of deliveries. But I assume that we'll be able to make progress with that as we're going for those premium deliveries and some of the other stuff, because we still got a good ways to go in the story anyway. So then, let's see. Already got all 5 of those trophies. Those are all really easy, basically unmissable trophies. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is either. I assume it's some kind of collectible, but I don't know anything about them yet. In fact, does it say, best beloved, before trying to collect and deliver all memory chips, they do not appear unless the players met all the criteria. Far enough in the storyline, reach the maximum level. Okay, so it's not, so it's like a delivery type that we can make, but not until much later on in the game. Okay. Sounds good. Did customization already, got plenty of that so far. The hot springs I don't think we get to until later on in the game, because I think it's a later game thing in the second one as well. Read 100 pieces of mail and 100 interviews. That's not difficult, I just don't think I have enough of those yet, so it's going to take me a little bit longer to get there. This one, I still don't exactly understand how I got it. I just like cleared out a mule area and it gave me the trophy, so that, like, while I was exploring it, so that was pretty awesome. Maximum connection level with BB, I'm at maybe like 2 or 2.5 stars, so we had a long way to go on that. Already had those done. Grade 60 in all delivery categories. I'm actually pretty close on several of them and have reached it on at least one of them. It's really just the time one that's kind of taken, well, more time, which I think will be easier once I have more infrastructure built. Then heal by sleeping for the first time. This one requires you to actually like sleep outside on the ground somewhere, which I didn't realize, but that's a very easy trophy. Change footwear. Oh wait, I already had that trophy. Then deliver 700 total items of cargo. That's going to come naturally. I'm not worried about that one. Deliver 3,000 kilograms of total cargo. That's going to come naturally. I've already got it now. Travel 80 kilometers and complete an order. So I don't know if that means like I had to travel 80 kilometers in a single... No, it couldn't have been that. I think it just meant travel 80 kilometers and also make sure you've completed an order like when you get there or something. I got it naturally, so it seems to be pretty easy. Higgs is home. I'm sure that's like a thing in the end game because he's the main villain. I still have no idea exactly what this one is. I think I have the tool for it, but I don't know how to do it. Trading with another porter for the first time. People actually had to tell me how to do this because it's not very intuitive. You have to take something that a random porter that is in the world drops for you or gives to you, and then you have to drop something in return for it to unlock. So some guy was nice enough, some random NPC porter was nice enough to give me like a PCC or something like potentially useful. I just gave him a ladder because it was the cheapest thing I had on me. Soothe the crying BB, or soothe the BB and stop the crying for the first time. I am shocked I haven't gotten that one yet. I guess that I don't make him upset, or I think it's a her actually, upset often enough. Did the shout already. This one, for this one's pretty easy. You just have to deliver a piece of contaminated cargo into like the lake, sort of in the middle of the world. And there's a bunch of pieces of contaminated cargo pretty close to it. It's near one of the like sort of outposts, not one of the main bases. Upgrade all types of structures to the maximum level. I don't know exactly how many this is going to require. I'm sure it means like the watchtower, the road, the zip lines, and the bridges, I would assume, are sort of the 4 generators, maybe, postbox, maybe, I'm not sure about those. So still probably have a little ways to go on that one, or a long ways to go, honestly. I don't have anywhere near the supplies I need. And then, let's see, I also use the music player for the first time. This is something you do when you're inside of like a private quarter, so nothing too difficult there. And then fabricate each type of weapon and equipment. That's probably not that difficult. That one's going to come somewhat naturally along the way outside of the weapons. because I'm now at a point where I'm sometimes having to fight the terrorist enemies. And if you don't know, they're not like the mules. They don't knock you out and steal your cargo. They legitimately try to kill you and cause a void out. And you can't kill them, or else you have to carry their bodies to an incinerator or into that lake. And if you don't do that, you get a void out. I, by some miracle, knocking on my wooden table here, have not yet had a void out. I've had a couple of very close calls and like a couple of really buggy moments where I thought I was going to die but somehow didn't. So I guess I've gotten kind of lucky so far, but I'm sure it'll happen at some point. It happened to Lizard Guy at least once in this game, so I guess we will see at some point. I'm sure it'll happen because I'm playing on normal. I'm not even playing on easy or something. But I mean, normal really isn't that hard overall. It's just like none of the combat's really all that bad aside from fighting some of the BTs, but I'm getting better at it. Just got to learn how to do that whole stealthy thing. So yeah, still enjoying this game a lot so far, but have a long, long way to go in it. I'm going to stream all of the story. That's what I've sort of decided on. I'm going to stream the entirety of the story, but I'm not going to stream all of the grind, just because that's probably going to be like really, really boring, honestly. I don't think people want to necessarily watch some aspects of that. I might stream a little bit of it, and I'll probably stream the Platinum Trophy live at some point in the next month or two. But other than that, I'll be doing a lot of the grind sort of on my own just to avoid boring you guys, and that way we can play other stuff. Speaking of other stuff, I'm still hopefully going to be able to get College Football 26 from GameFly so we can try to platinum it in the near future and get it done, as quickly as possible while the online is still kind of fresh with a lot of random players that are not as experienced. So hopefully get that at some point in the near future. And then finally, I started on Robocop Rogue City. So this game was made by the same people that made Terminator Resistance. So instead of getting actual DLC the way that like Terminator Resistance did, we actually get a whole extra standalone expansion, which is not too bad. This is a free game on PS Plus at some point, so that's why I finally picked it up. And it's pretty fun so far, not going to lie, I'm definitely enjoying it. Though I think I like Terminator just a little bit more because that one was a little more combat type focused, whereas this one has more of the like deduction, Robocop trying to solve crimes and stuff to it. And also the fact that this is probably going to be really embarrassing to say as someone who typically likes, sci-fi type stuff. I have never watched an entire Robocop movie, surprisingly. I've never seen the entirety of a Robocop movie or the TV show or anything else like that, so I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable on this universe as I am at something like Terminator, which I at least know something about. That was loud. Plane must have flown low over. But anyways, it's a pretty easy platinum trophy. It can be done in like 12-ish hours. I haven't been playing the fastest so far, so it might take me a little bit longer. So yeah, like 3 hours so far, or like probably 3.5 hours total. So with this game, at the very bottom of the list, you have everything from Hard-Boiled through Nice Shooting Son are all unmissable story-related trophies by simply beating the game on any difficulty. So you can play through the game on easy, and that is totally fine. So that's what I've actually been doing just because I'm not as knowledgeable on this whole franchise and everything. I'm just trying to enjoy it and sort of get the feel for how it plays and, have a fun time with a fairly easy, simple platinum compared to something like Death Stranding. And for some reason, this trophy does not have an image. I don't know why that is. That's really, really weird. I don't know if that's a bug with PSN profiles or if that's something with the trophy list itself. So find a secret area in the arcade. This is done in like the 3rd level of the game. There's a certain area that you can open up to get it. This one, just shoot an enemy in the groin. You can do this on the very first level. It's one of the first trophies you'll get. This one is a level-specific one from a little bit later on in the game, so haven't gotten to that point yet. Then the gas tank of a moving motorcycle, I think I can do in an upcoming level. Killing an enemy with a throwable object, you can do in the very first level. The 150 points at the shooting range, you can pretty much do the very first time you're at the range. The other two, you're probably not going to be able to do until you have some upgrades. I got kind of close to 200, but definitely nowhere near 250 in a couple of tries. So we'll see how that goes once I get more upgrades for the main gun and everything. I don't think it's going to be too bad, but apparently that is one of the harder trophies in the game. The Cat from the Burning Hotel is a miscellaneous area-specific trophy or level-specific trophy, and nothing's truly missable in this game either, by the way, because there is not necessarily a chapter select feature, but there is like a checkpoint select type of feature, which is sort of what Terminator Resistance did. So an A on any evaluation. When you complete a level, a main story level, you'll get an evaluation for your performance. So it looks at things like completing the main story, completing any side quests you came across, finding evidence of crimes throughout the open world, finding stashes of equipment throughout the open world, stuff like that. So just little side objectives, because the main missions are fairly open world, so I mean, it's a neat enough design. It's played pretty well. It's not like Terminator where you're just getting like shot at all times from every direction when you try to run through open areas, because you're just, Robocop walking around Detroit solving murder mysteries and stuff like that. To get the A rank, you just have to perform fairly well in that. I think there's like one level later on where you like get it guaranteed, so really shouldn't be too much of a problem. There's no like time requirements as far as I'm aware for most levels, so you shouldn't have to worry about finishing things quickly. So this one, 3 enemies with 1 explosive. I got this one on the very first level because there are some computers you can throw that are kind of explosive or electric shock. And there are also some explosive tanks you can throw, and those work perfectly fine for this. And you can also do this even in like the 3rd or 4th mission. I'm pretty sure there were plenty of opportunities for it. Issuing a ticket in the open world areas, you can sometimes, catch people doing crimes, like they park their car too close to a fire hydrant or their meter runs out. And if you give them a ticket, you get that trophy. Pretty easy. Hack an enemy turret. Apparently, you can't do this one until like later on in the game, and you need the engineering skill to be at least at 6. So I don't know if that makes this one missable the way that one was in Terminator Resistance, where you had that door you had to open that led to nowhere, and you needed like a level 2 or level 3 lockpick skill to get through it. So yeah, this is a level-specific one a little bit later in the game. Apparently the time limit is just a little bit tight, but it's not supposed to be too hard. The Auto 9 PCB with any chip. So the PCB is basically your sort of ability to customize your main weapon, the Auto 9. It is an infinite ammo burst pistol, which has like a 50-round magazine. It still has to reload, but you get infinite ammo, which is pretty nice, whereas the other guns all have ammo requirements or limits on them. So just equip it with any upgrade chip and you'll get that trophy. You can do this after you finish like level 3 or 4 when you get back to the police station for the first time. Find any OCP skill disc. You can find these in the open world just by exploring OCP crates. Fully develop any skill. That one you have to get a skill to level 10, but I think what you could probably do for this one is save up some points and then just put them all into one category and then just immediately reset once the trophy pops, because there's a button to reset your changes to that list, so I think you can just do it that way. And then, like I said, the rest of it's just story-related, so it's been a fun enough game so far. Definitely enjoying it. Just like I said, I think I like Terminator Resistance a little bit more. So, with that, level 901, 7% of the way through, 30,642 total trophies, 884 platinums, 5,916 golds, 8,235 silvers, 15,607 bronzes. So, plans for the upcoming week. And I guess Indiana Jones was 884. That's right. Couldn't really remember. So plans for the upcoming week. I'm hoping this week is going to be a fairly normal schedule. I think it will be. I don't think there's going to be anything like that should get too much in the way. So at least like 3 streams throughout the week, maybe 4. So we'll have to see about all that. I am working on the Resident Evil 7 video currently. It's maybe like a quarter of the way there because I started on it and it was okay at first, but I honestly didn't necessarily like how it was going, so I decided to scrap it and restart and make it better. So that one is coming along slowly. Well, not even that slowly. It shouldn't take too terribly long to edit because it's only 4 total streams, and 2 of those streams didn't even have a whole lot to them that were Ethan Must Die mode. So yeah, definitely we'll keep working on that. And I think other than that, I don't know what I'll start working on next after that for video-wise. Probably Astrobot will be the next one now that that next DLC released. So that'll probably be the next one that we do after that. And then there's the Clock Tower speedrun and then Dead Rising 2 off the record. There's also those couple of mic banning challenges that I'll sort of work on in the background because those are a little bit less important. And then College Football 27 or 26, once I actually get the game, I might prioritize that video because the game's so new and because it's probably going to be a fairly short one to put together. I think it's the exact same, it's basically the exact same trophy list as the one from College Football 25. Now, alongside all of that, The other major fun announcement is that next week, so not this week, but next week, and I'll probably mention this in next week's trophy update, is that next week, Lizard Guy is going to be back home, so I'm going to go home for a long weekend, take a day off of work, and we will be gaming and such. I don't know if we'll be streaming necessarily, because I've said this before, like, my parents' internet nowadays at their house is good enough that we can probably stream to some degree, but for one, the house gets very crowded with 4 of us in it plus 2 dogs, and then at the same time, it's still just a little bit spotty, and there's no way we'd be able to like dual stream or anything, which would be kind of nice to be able to do, partially because of the internet, partially because I'm not sure my laptop's quite powerful enough for that. His PC is, but I don't think he's like bringing that home or anything. So we will see what we decide to do, whether we stream or just record some videos. It'll more likely be recording some videos or something, but we will have to see when that happens in another, week and a half. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, ring the bell if you haven't done so already. Let me know down in the comments what you guys worked on this past week. Again, big celebration of making it to 15 years on YouTube. And let's keep going strong. We've been growing a fair bit in the last couple years, changing up some of the content with more shorts and better trophy videos. At least I think they've gotten better at this point. They're definitely more complicated than they once were, so I think they've gotten better to some degree. So yeah, I will see you guys later this week for some more trophy content.